Get Into Geek. This is episode 157. We are talking Stargate Atlantis, Season 1, Episode number 3, Hide and Seek. The Get Into Geek team here. My name is Mitch. Joining me, Maddie.
Where are we?
Oh, God. Here we go
no,
again.
sorry. That's fine. Hi.
Hello, Maddie. Hello,
Hi.
Brendan.
Hey, mate.
And Rhys, look, we joked last week. He didn't have the corona. He's not here again this week. He might have the Rona.
Oh, no, he's playing hide and seek under the desk, if you know what I mean.
Will he pop up? Let's hope not.
How is it, Brendan?
What?
That was a homosexual incest joke. Is what
I
that
like
was.
it.
That was the double up.
If that's what it was, sounds good.
We are going to push on anyway and talk about Stargate Atlantis because the beauty about having Rhys on the show, and while we did the show around Rhys, is that he is a newbie. He's watching it for the first time, Stargate, the franchise as a whole. Now that we're up to Atlantis, I'm the newbie guy,
Yeah!
so I'm watching this for the first time, and I find myself...
You're the Lieutenant Ford.
Thanks.
That's
Is that not a... Okay, well, I learned that's a bad reference.
Yeah.
Put it into...
He's not... I think you'd already know by now.
Well, put it into Stargate SG-1 context. Who would I be that I would know in Stargate SG-1 if I was going to be Ford in Atlantis?
Is there anyone that low in SG-1?
Oh, Jesus.
Not
Look,
really.
have a think about
You'd
it.
be Pretty Boy Cumface, I think.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's about
Pretty
all
boy
Ford.
cum face.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
that sucks. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't even talk
No,
about
it's
Ford.
just that
Like, we
the
did-
reason I said that is because Ford's new and
Yeah.
a lot of exposition goes his way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with Paul Ford. Like, we went the entire two-parter last, 2 weeks ago with Rising. I listened back to it. We didn't even mention Ford at any given point. And I feel like that's how the writers feel about Ford. He's just there.
Let's get into the synopsis, see what this episode was all about, and then, we can see what I thought of it and see what you two boys thought of it as well. Hide and Seek. Dr. McKay's DNA is altered to match the ancient genetic coding, making him able to utilize the ancient technology abounding in Atlantis, but unable to eat. Meanwhile, during a game of hide and seek, one of the Athosian children inadvertently releases a dark entity, and when Atlantis goes through a series of technical malfunctions, the team realizes that the shadowy creature is actually feeding off the power supply.
You know, until you read that, I didn't realize why it was called Hide and Seek. It's because of those stupid kids. Why do they call it that?
I thought, this is going to be this is going to be a real trickery sort of thing. Like it's got to do with McKay's tech somehow, like the fact that he's there but he's not or something. And then when the kids went off and played hide and seek, I'm like, oh, cool, like a little, it's like an on the nose sort of thing, but that's not what it is. And then you get to the end, I'm like, no, they just called it hide and seek because that was sort of like, hey, we need to discover a new room. What happened?
Well,
fake danger around a child being lost. Oh no, he just went into this fucking sick room that's going to help us do stuff.
Maybe because they realized they couldn't call it musical chairs, which is what they were doing to the entity. Like, they were playing musical chairs with the entity with all the Naquita generators.
Yeah.
Guys, we need an elevator. We need an ancient elevator.
Well,
Written by Cooper, this one.
Written by Cooper, story by Brad Wright and Cooper, teleplay by Cooper, directed by David Warwick Smith.
Yeah, last of 12 episodes, directed by David Warwick Smith.
Across the franchise.
Yeah, this is his last one. He did Holiday, Serpent's Grasp, Exodus, For the Grace of God.
Pretty good so
some
far.
great episodes.
Fifth Race, Pretense.
He did Fifth Race?
Yeah, and
damn.
then and then he finishes on Hide and Seek.
What I liked about this episode actually was that there was a couple of different story elements that I feel like early on in SG-1 they could have just solely focused on. Like McKay, the fact that it cut to black and did the titles and stuff with McKay's little chess piece, that could have been the episode was how do we save him? We've got this technology. We need to figure out a way to turn it. That could have been an entire episode in the equivalent sort of early stages of SG-1, I feel. And it would have been fine. But there was that. And then like I thought the kid thing was going to turn into something. It's like, no, we just needed to get to that room. But through that, then you get the entity and it ties back to the ancients and what they were doing. And all three things needed to blend in together to help solve the story. So I actually liked that they didn't just sort of like have two side stories that like have nothing to do with each other and neither could hold their own episode. I feel like both the entity and the mysterious ancient tech that they're very new with both could have been their own episodes.
Yeah. It was interesting the way they
each other,
dovetailed at the end, and one solved the problem of the other.
And then even like the dialogue throwback, like, see, that's a Hail Mary. I'm like, that doesn't need to mean anything. When he's showing Taylor the football at the start, talking about a Hail Mary, that's just that scene. That's O'Neill showing Teal'c stuff. You know, it's Shepard showing Taylor, this is football. It's the cornerstone of Western civilization.
Yeah.
Western.
Yeah, and that's
Played in one country.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the slowest
American
game
football.
ever. So yeah, I didn't mind it, but
Is there a potential plot hole they missed, though? That's something that occurred to me.
There's a massive plot hole.
Well, let's see if you're thinking of the same one I'm thinking of. The we can name it later transporter elevator thing, right? It had boxes in it. So Atlantis expedition members had already gone there and stored stuff in it, and that little wall panel hadn't opened up. It only opened up for Jinto.
Yeah.
He must have the ATA gene.
Yeah, right.
That's the only way that could have happened. It's never addressed ever again.
yeah, right.
Or
Desalinizing the seawater and storing it in tanks big enough to supply the whole city.
Grodin.
So fresh water won't be a problem.
It seems some ancient technology requires the user to have the gene. Now, other things merely require initialization. Once activated like the control room, anyone can push the buttons to make it work.
not that explains it, but
No.
it's a little bit of exposition for the new people to the series, or everyone's new, but explaining the ATA gene, what that does and how it's used. It's convenient.
Oh, how convenient.
In the very, I thought you were going to say when Shepard and McKay go to where what the hell was that kid's
Jinto.
name? Jinto, where his location is. We opens the transporter again, and the boxes are there, so they've swapped.
Yeah.
It's like they're swapped. I don't feel like we see that again, where they swap whatever's in that one that you touch. They swap places.
Are there ever any circumstances where there's two people in a transport at the same time and they flip back and forward?
Don't know.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. I don't think that's kind of like
Oh,
a
see,
one
I
and
thought
done.
I thought that was a nice touch.
It's weird though. Like, what if you're in there and you're about to press a different location on the West Wing, and then it takes you to the gate room or the tower.
Oh, like if you're at point A, wanting to go to point B, but someone at point C presses point A to where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point actually.
So I thought it was
Maybe just goes
a bit weird. Yeah, there's someone in there, but the boxes moved. That was weird for me.
See, for me that was a nice touch. But yeah, you raise a good point. There's never any follow up to that, the swapping aspect of it. But I guess
I think it'd be good if it was only one transporter, like you kind of A and B. Only A and B.
But then I guess you run into maybe they did it because you run into the problem of Jinto and the boxes got transported there. Jinto left the transporter. If our guys transported in, would they be like, integrated like halfway in the box, or would they have to be moved around the box? Like if the boxes are still in that landing pad,
yeah, that's true.
where do they would it have to reposition our people so that they don't beam in?
Yeah, that makes
inside
sense.
a box or something. That'd be fun though. You see him just pop out of a box. Hey,
Yeah, or it does that. Can't do it.
Can't
Something
do it
in there.
Yeah, and then they would have had to legged it. That would have been
Interesting.
interesting. Like if the transporter didn't work and they had to leg it all the way over there because those boxes were blocking it, and then they had to run in with the cloud. That would have been interesting.
Yeah, I just found that was weird.
Yeah,
I mean, I got a few plot holes here, but we'll get to those later.
I think the reason too is 38 minutes, which is the following episode.
Yes.
It was filmed first.
Right.
So it's kind of weird as well because at the end of Rising, Weir's like, okay, you're going to have to pick your team. And suddenly in this episode, they don't really explain it, but our team, which, what does someone call them?
Your away team.
No, AR1 apparently is one of the unofficial, it's like their version of SG1. It's Atlantis Recon 1 instead of...
I've never heard that.
Oh, I only heard it just recently, like in the last probably 6 months. I heard
What is that like? Someone wrote that in a wiki?
Yeah, something like that. It's apparently
Right.
it's something that some of the fans use to sort of label that team.
That's like the DHD, which we found out with this poster thing from...
Oh, yeah, the one that we're giving away for our Patreon.
Yeah. They call the DHD, where is it? Known as Clavis to the ancients.
Ooh.
Okay.
Almost
news to
sounds
me.
like Clavisaura Infinitus.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's
Retcon.
like we get to that moment where Weir rocks up. Oh, I love Weir. But she rocks up and the team are like watching football, eating popcorn. And that's our team. Like it's Shepard, Taylor, McKay, and Ford. But it's like almost like he's done all that sort of off screen, and it's like that's the team.
Yeah, I think
but
I was
next
always
week we see them on their
off-world.
mission.
Yeah.
Like we see their mission with 38
I always
minutes.
kind of found that okay because it wasn't like this is SG1 like we did in SG1, even though that was cool. For me in this one it was a little bit more organic, as like, oh, you pick your away team, whatever. It's almost like everybody's part of the main cast. Like
Yeah.
you have your Hammond, who's the secondary character in SG1, but Weir's one of the main ones,
Yeah.
which is cool in terms. Like, so it's not just a team; it's like the entire expedition,
Yeah.
which is it feels more organic.
Yeah, it kind of almost feels like, oh, well, of all the military personnel, Shepard's probably going to pick Ford because Ford's one of the only people that was nice to him. Everyone else was a dick to him. And it's like, okay, he probably needs McKay, even though McKay probably doesn't want to go off-world. He just wants to, tool around Atlantis playing with stuff. He's like, no, you'll come with me. And then obviously Taylor is the Teal'c. She's the one with the galactic knowledge. Like, she knows people around on different addresses and stuff like that. So it makes sense for her to join the team as well.
Yeah, but going back to our Lieutenant Ford chat, well, I don't know about the fandom, but I don't like him, and I was kind of wished he would just go away.
I just think it might be like a little Patreon or something little separate we can do, but I did this up at the start of the season, and it's basically like if you take all the different elements from SG1 and all the things that each member brings to the team, including Hammond, they've basically taken all those things and assigned all those things to characters in Atlantis, but all Ford got was...
He's got a gun.
Second in command.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he got. Like,
And I feel
Taylor's
like McKay's like, dude, please.
Yeah, McKay got all the Carter stuff, all the Carter tech stuff.
Yeah.
He got all the Daniel
He gets all the
Jackson
Daniel-
civilian stuff, so
But
he
he
can play
also,
with that.
especially later on, he can read Ancient like it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
So
And
much
then-
so where he's better than Daniel for whatever reason.
Yeah, and then Taylor gets all the Teal'c stuff, plus she's like the token female.
Yeah.
So and then Weir gets a lot of...
God, she bangs on about those Athosians. God.
Oh, she
Give
loves
them up.
They're smelly Athosians.
Smell like horse dung,
But
guys.
Weir
Fuck
kind of
off.
gets... Like, if you take Daniel and take the two main parts of him being a civilian and a nerd... Weir gets the nerd, McKay gets the civilian stuff.
She gets the language.
She gets the language, all that kind of stuff. So all Ford gets is second in command and the other military person.
Yeah.
He's got no other, except for the fact that he likes to wear hats. Like, he has no other like character traits. And like, I really like Rainbow Sung Franks. I think he's really interesting. But I just think the creators made a bit of an error.
Well, I believe he was actually cast pretty late. I think it was only like 2 or 3 weeks before principal shooting. So he was very fresh.
Yeah,
he was
and
buzzing to get the casting.
he was a
obviously,
VJ.
but-
He was a VJ in Canada. Like,
Say that again?
He was a VJ, so he was running like their version of like Video Hits. He's like introing songs on like
Right.
MTV in Canada, and then he gets this gig. His sister is Cree Summer, who's like a really famous voice actress.
Cree Silver.
Cree, yeah. But yeah, so I think it was just they didn't really know what to do with Ford. And I think what would have been really cool is it's like he could have been the new young fresh eyes, because you see him in the first episode, he's all excited and he's fresh and new and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's too much energy, mate. Calm down.
Well, I liked that, but then Shepard comes along as someone who's never been involved with the Stargate program, so he gets all the newcomer gear.
Yeah.
So Ford even loses that. So
Yeah.
poor Ford, I think, kind of just gets left by the wayside.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor guy.
Anyway, we don't like him.
I'm glad I
But
didn't.
full disclosure here, Mitch, and you may or may not be surprised by this, but Rodney McKay is a massive dick in Stargate SG-1. But in Atlantis, he is my favourite character.
Yeah.
Closely followed by John Shepard. But for me, the writers have done such a good job because they haven't changed who he is. Like, he's still a dick. But he doesn't change, but he grows as a character.
Yeah.
And even when you grow to love him so much to the point where he's still a dick in Atlantis and in future to Carter, but you love him so much
He's our
when you
dick.
go back to SG-1, you actually really like him.
Yeah, right.
He's a dick with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Like, he's still at his core, he's a good person.
Yeah.
And
He's
I think
just horny.
a lot of the modern shows, like if you look at like Discovery and stuff like that, they're just all dicks and they have no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whereas McKay is not a great person. He doesn't have great interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
But at his core, I feel like he's actually a good person. Like he's a good human being. He's doing things for good, but he just stumbles along the way.
Yeah, it was funny watching this, knowing this is the first time I've seen this show, whereas I've seen his episodes of SG1 a bunch of times, and you're right, he's a dick.
Yeah.
And then I didn't feel like I had to warm to him watching these last first three episodes of Atlantis, because I think maybe it's because I know that there's 5 seasons, and I assume he's around for a lot of it, if not all of it. I don't know anything really, but I wonder whether it's just because I know that I'm going to have to like him for at least a while. So subconsciously, I already do. But you're right. I like that. While I like the interweaving sort of mini stories to make up this big one, to start with that thing and him not wanting to take it off, and it's a mental thing, and then at the end he gets that moment where he's just like, nah, puts it on, and like the shield goes over. It's like, oh shit, he had to want to do that.
Yeah.
Before he was a coward, now he's brave, and he goes in and does all that crazy shit inside the cloud, and like I like that because I didn't feel like I had to warm to him over 40 minutes, but at the end of this, I'm like, you're all right. Like,
yeah, and then the good thing is that they keep that. Like, he is a pussy, but he's brave, and he's a dick, but he's nice. So they play on that quite well with the contrast.
There's even a little element where he's kind of like Felger and Coombs in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's almost an episode where he rings in and does the shooting in a circle while he's cowering. Like, I feel like there's an episode where he does that.
I feel like the start of this episode where it opens up and he's with the rats or whatever the hell he had in the little in the cage, and then the doctor behind him, and they were talking, and they thought they were talking about girls.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we should go hit on the Ethersons before they realise we're not cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, I've got a little bit of other guys chat there. It's like, you're the guys. You're not the cool guys on base.
Yeah,
you've both got some insane.
Yeah, it
skills
is very much like
that.
that.
To do.
Yeah.
But I guess they didn't have that long-standing friendship like you felt that the other guys did when we've been introduced to them. So
so for me, it's like every McKay episode, or where he's the hero. Like one of the ones most generally that I love.
Yeah.
In saying that, I usually skip this episode.
Yeah, right. Well, I was going to ask, because you guys have given, it's like, it's whatever, we can fast forward through, or we can skip it, or whatever. Like, it doesn't sound like you hate the episode, but it's like, it's early days, we know what we're going to get.
I think it's a good warm up.
Yeah.
For the characters. For me, it was when I remember first watching it, I didn't want to like them, any of them.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like McKay's like my only one line to SG1 because I've seen him before.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, I like what they're kind of doing. Like Maddie said, Taylor's the girl, and she's got like the Wraith knowledge, like Teal'c had, with the Goa'uld knowledge, and then they've got all that. So it's like, oh yeah, I can see what they're doing now. And with McKay, it was like, he's my one line.
Yeah.
To SG1.
I was only going to ask because we've spoken about it plenty over the last couple of years. The equivalent episode of Stargate SG1 was Emancipation, the third episode.
I think
it was the other one.
The one with Kowalski gets his head chopped off. That was episode 3.
Yeah, I know. I guess because I consider... Yeah, okay, well, technically,
it's one whole story.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I found myself going in and just going, well... This better be better than Emancipation. I'll tell you that much, guys. Yeah. And I come away going, it was.
That's what, like I said to you, or to everyone, when Emancipation comes out, I always think back, that's the third episode of SG1.
Yeah.
Because I always think of Enemy Within. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Episode 2 of SG1, Enemy Within.
So,
the enemy within Kowalski. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah.
And I always think that's the second part to... Children of the Gods.
Yeah, I think because we did that's how we did it as a podcast. We did Children of the Gods as a complete one-off for episode 1, and then Emancipation was our third. So you're right. Yeah. But
wait a couple of weeks for Childhood's End. That's the what was that? The really really bad one with the crazy people on the and Jonas in season 1, the guy that was married to Carter. was engaged to her that went
the one
crazy
with
on the planet.
shield.
First Commandments.
That's right.
I would have been here all weekend guessing that shit.
Childhood's End is the first commandment of Stargate Atlantis, basically.
Yeah, well, okay.
Yeah,
But
and
I feel
they've
like-
even got the same pedestal, don't they?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
It's the same prop.
But I feel like the next 2 episodes of Atlantis are so much more pivotal to the story than what this one is. I think 38 minutes, I don't know anyone who doesn't enjoy 38 minutes. I think it's a really good world building of the science of how different Atlantis is to SG-1.
Yeah.
And then Suspicion is a really good one in that it wraps up stuff that you and Rhys, Mitch, were talking about in Rising. Some issues that you had that I said, there might be a bit of spoilers there. So I feel like that's a good little run, whereas this one in the middle, because it was shot out of sequence, it just feels a little bit odd to me.
One thing I did raise, I think we all touched on it, so it might not have been me that actually asked the question, but from the Rising 2-part pilot and the Wraith are first attacking, Taylor and Shepard are off running around. They don't even know the attack's happening. They can't hear shit. And then she just stops and she's like, the Wraith. And she, my big problem with that was that she said they hadn't been around for generations. So arguably, if we get to go by that, she has never seen the Wraith in person. And we were like, our big question was, how did she know? Whether she had seen them before or she hadn't, the fact that she was in a place where she couldn't hear or see the attack going on, how did she just stop and know? And we were like, that's ridiculous. In this episode, Weir just goes up to her like we've had some conversation that we didn't see between episodes where they're like, is it a Wraith? She says, I can't sense them. And they're like, well, has that ever failed you? She said, no, never. I've never been wrong. Okay, fucking sweet. No Wraith are here. And I'm like, hang on, whoa. Did we establish that last week? Like, I feel like that wasn't... And I really paid attention, I thought, to episodes 1 and 2. I sat there and actually watched the thing rather than someone
done that episode.
Someone actually got back to us on the socials about the whole Wraith thing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me, because she says, apparently, that it's been generations since the Great Wraith culling.
Right.
One of the great ones with the motherships and shit. So that she's probably seen a few darts come here and there.
So she might be talking about
life.
Basically after the Atlanteans left Atlantis and sunk the city 10,000 years ago or whatever, and everyone went to sleep. That might have been there might have been a great culling just after that.
Because in the pictures, it's got the Wraith mothership with sucking everybody up and whatever in the pictographs.
That's interesting.
So I was like, that's a great point actually.
And so with did they touch on the sensing stuff in the pilot, or are we just meant to get her just in the middle of nowhere go, the Wraith, and we go, sick, she's got sense powers.
I think that's about it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
okay.
And then she's like, don't worry about the cloud, because that's just the Wraith making you think that they're there.
Yeah, so then the tie into this was the people seeing the cloud like that was in this episode, and people thinking it was what the Wraith can do. Yeah, and then Taylor going, "No,
I mean, hell, after last week, it could be Anubis."
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, how weird, when these are released and you got two cloud
that
monsters.
would have been weird.
Yeah,
Well, and what's this 2004?
Yeah.
I don't want to bring up the word again, but Lost was on in 2004. And there's a bloody black smoke monster.
Well, here's a fun one too: is the prop they used that released the fog?
Yeah,
and they were using to try to trap it. Did you recognise that? That's the prop from
Ghost Trap from Ghostbusters.
Sight Unseen. Remember with Jonas when he could see invisible bugs?
Oh,
it's the same. Yeah,
that was
it's
the
same
machine.
prop.
It's the same prop.
Okay,
the ancient device. They like to reuse their props.
They do.
For a new audience, like Nareem.
He's not a creepy sex doll guy. He's just a bloke in his lantern.
But Shepard totally used the wrong controls. Like, they stuffed that up completely. It's like when McKay's like, okay, so we determined that the machine does this, blah, blah, blah. And like, you can't see it. Like, the camera's on the other side of the machine, and all the members are on their side. And he goes, you need to press this control, this control, this control, and that'll open it and lock it and blah, blah. Then later on, when Shepard is like waiting for the fog to come, he reaches over the machine, his press controls on the other side of it, and it doesn't match up like to the left and the right. McKay was showing them controls on the left, whereas if Shepard was around that side, he's pressing the controls on the right. And I'm like, that's not what McKay showed you to do. That's not going to work.
That's why it ran away.
Yeah, that's why it ran away.
Yeah, the ATA gene. Did you understand all that, Mitch? I mean, it was pretty. There's a lot of talking early on in those first 2 minutes.
Yeah,
about what the gene is. Basically, the doctor says to McKay, this is an ATA gene. It's experimental, basically changing your DNA. And they weren't allowed to do human trials on Earth because the FDA wouldn't let them.
Yeah.
And so he's like, this is the first human trial. And then he's like, hang on, whoa.
Yep.
It's a mouse retrovirus.
Yeah. And it's like, well, there's no FDA on Atlantis, so...
Yeah, and that's what I like about Atlantis.
Yeah.
That they unlike SG-1, there's so many rules and regulations. With Atlantis, I just feel like that they can do so many things, push the ethical boundary, or like do a lot more scientific shit where they'd be like, all right, let's do some stem cell research. F- it.
Yeah. We would have waited.
We have no UN here
on SG-1.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I think I like, because they're like, let's go for it.
Yeah.
Hammer and tong.
I guess it's bred from necessity. Like, they're in the middle of this ancient city. It's like, we have to do something that the other show would never have done.
Yeah.
In a real world type setting. But we're in episode 3/4 here, and we need to work everything that's around us. So, sick.
Speaking of pushing against boundaries, though, I think we'd be remiss and off-brand for our podcast not to address it. They talk about, McKay, when he's got the shield on, he can't eat or drink, he can't get past it.
I thought the same thing.
Oh, my notes have this.
I mean, obviously, there's going to be last night's dinner still inside.
Yeah.
He's got to pass that at some point. I mean, is that just mushing up in the back against the shield?
Yeah.
Like, if he pees, is it just peeing down, or is it fully stopping him from peeing? Like,
I think it's just stopping in his shoes. He's
just running down.
Just running down his leg.
Just pooling in his shoes.
And he's just walking in piss. No one can smell it because of the...
Oh, yeah, the shield would hold in the smell.
But wouldn't it be hot?
Well, oxygen,
Maybe not.
Oxygen would have to pass through so he could breathe.
Yeah.
But surely the smell would be locked inside.
That'd
He'd
be
be
so
like,
great. He just has to kind of piss down his pants leg and just
Yeah.
put his foot on the toilet and it just comes out the bottom or something.
But yeah, I mean, he was worried about eating. I'd be worried about passing what he ate the day before.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd be more... Yeah, the urinating thing is one thing. I'm not worried about the other stuff.
Because I was thinking about the boner. What if you...
Well,
does that hurt? Like if you just...
Well, I mean, he can move.
He's like wearing
he can move his
super tight
arms
jeans.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not growing an extra pinky.
Yeah, or if you're like, it could be the equivalent of like if you're lying on your stomach in bed and it's the wrong angle.
Jamming into the
you
bed.
just get that pinch. That's sitting wrong. I need to readjust. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would have liked them to have shown like a clothing thing. Like, I want to just take the jacket off. What happens then? Can you take the jacket
Yeah, I don't
off?
think he could.
So like, because he obviously couldn't touch that.
Because I had a bit of
an
an issue with... Because he couldn't drink, obviously. It wouldn't even go into his mouth.
Yeah, does he get itchy? Can he scratch an itch?
Yeah, right? But then later he grabs...
He grabs the chocolate bar out of his jacket pocket.
But that was when the thing fell off. But how did that chocolate bar get in there?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. So has that been in there... Maybe
before he put it on.
Yeah, he put that on. Like, he, got dressed in the morning, brushed, put that in there because he knew he was having that later.
Yeah.
Then the shield went on and he couldn't access it.
That's the only way he could do
that
it,
would
I
have been
think.
the worst.
Yeah.
It's right there.
It's right there.
What a tease.
Yeah,
I can
get
feel
to
it. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
And that's when one of the Athosians decided to crack onto him, and he's like, God damn it, I can't do anything.
So I want to go back to my huge plot hole. This is a huge one for me.
Oh, show us your huge plot
So
hole.
the device, get it go, this is fucking gaping. The device fell off McKay's chest.
Yep.
We assume because he was a pussy. But then he's like, no, it just stopped working. See? Look at this. And he puts it on Shepard's chest.
Yeah.
Nothing happens. So I'm like, so is it broken now?
No, they buy that back with a line where they say it's almost like a communication stone. It's been tied to McKay.
Did they say that?
Yeah, they don't use the communication stone
Well, I think
as a point because obviously that doesn't exist yet.
It was a theory. It was like they were pretty sure that was what happened. I sort of took a little bit of that, and the fact they said it's basically to your free will. Like, that's why it fell off, because they're like, oh, you're invincible, go and do that, and it falls off because he's like, I don't want to do that shit, so he doesn't need it anymore.
I thought that might happen.
Yeah.
Whereas,
but it's been keyed. It's been keyed directly to his DNA now. That's why he's the one that has to go down and get rid of the fog, rather than Shepard doing it.
Yeah, and I took it the fact that like Shepard didn't know that he wanted it on, so...
But because for me it felt like he won his argument. Like it was just coincidence that she said that and it fell off. It was always going to fall off. It doesn't work on Shepard.
Yeah.
And why would he say, look, it doesn't work on you? What if it did turn on Shepard? Well, that was obviously just a theory that maybe it's coded to him. But, I mean, that makes sense.
Well,
then,
but then it does reactivate on him later when he puts it back on.
That was my plot hole. It's like, if it's broken, how can you put it back on?
Well, it wasn't broken.
If it didn't work for Shepard.
Because it was keyed to McKay.
Yeah, which obviously that hypothesis was correct, though. I missed that bit.
It's a huge leap. It's a huge leap for them to figure that out and go, oh, it must be keyed to McKay. But it's kind of that, what do they call it? Is it the Socratic approach, where it's just like if you boil something down to its most simple aspects,
it's not that
can
simple.
sort of work. Well, I think that's what they've gone. Okay, well, the most obvious thing, if it's not working on McKay, the most obvious thing is it's keyed to. Oh, sorry, it's not working on Shepard. It's keyed to McKay.
Yeah,
but to me, that's a big jump to go. Oh, it's not broken. It's
for me, it was just that one scene where it fell off, and he's like, "See, it doesn't work on you," and he puts it on Shepard, and it doesn't work on my. So it's broken. Yeah,
no, it was just already been keyed to his to McKay's DNA
because he tried to put it back on. So you're saying that he just didn't want to put it back on?
Yeah, and that's what Weir ties into. She's like, there's got to be because otherwise it would be a failed piece of technology if it wasn't will activated. Like the ancients aren't dumb enough; they would make it will activated.
But it was like, because I always thought, you know how they do this a lot in Atlantis, how it's like, oh, this is an experimental piece of technology. The ancients couldn't get it to work exactly right, so they abandoned it.
Yeah. I think a perfect write-around for this could have been the fact that McKay got the artificial ATA gene. It could have just been the fact that the artifact wasn't working properly.
I think Carson said that too. He's like,
did he?
Maybe this is because I gave him the thing.
So for me, that's a perfect write-around. Like I didn't see that as properly. A plot hole. But yeah, you're right. Like I guess the fact that it didn't attach to Shepard straight away, the way it did to McKay, because McKay didn't know what it was. He's just like, I think it's a personal shield, and he's put it. So yeah, it's the fact that the DNA had linked to McKay does kind of check out. But yeah, it was a big leap.
For me, it threw me off with the whole Shepard thing. It doesn't work on you, see? Okay.
The device I had more trouble with, and I don't think we see it ever again. I think we saw it in the pilot in this episode, and we don't see it ever again. Taylor's anti-Dumbledore device. I totally forgot that was a thing.
Taylor's anti-Dumbledore.
You know how Dumbledore has that little thing and it takes all the lights out of the street? Well, Taylor's is the opposite. From across the room, she can light a fucking candle.
Yeah, that was in the pilot.
Yeah, and it's in this episode. I completely forgot.
Yeah.
My question was, what's with all the fucking candles? Who brought all these candles?
Yeah.
The
and why didn't they bring food?
Yeah.
Why didn't they bring, like that's a lot of candles and they're perfectly made.
Yeah.
Dude.
Maybe they made them out of, like, I don't know, the dead plants and
stuff. Surely if you are escaping your world because
you pack food before you pack candles.
Because there's Wraith coming. You know, I'll just grab the old candle bag, mate.
Yeah, and they did. It's not like they've gone back to Athos and
not that we know about. No,
because they're like, oh, we can't go back there because the Wraith are going to kill us.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
because in you know where Shepard's talking to the kids about the horror movie.
Yeah.
And there's just candles lit everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a lot of candles. Tilk's not even here.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I wonder what he started with, considering we get welcomed in and he's doing Friday the 13th and he gets into Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, did you progress to horror or did you just go, F these kids?
I thought he was going to do the C-3PO and do Star Wars.
Yes.
I have a question. Who's more annoying?
We're.
No. You.
Walk straight
I
into that one.
I shouldn't have paused. It's my own fault. Who's more annoying, Ryak or Jinto? I fucking hate Jinto. I don't know why, but he just taps the hidden
I just feel like Jinto's not in it as much, so I'd have to say Ryak just based on pure... pure amount we've seen.
Something about Jinto, I'm just like, you little shit. Maybe it's just my thing with kids, but I'm just like,
I don't know where I am.
Maybe because he does that thing that used to happen to me at school. Like, I was Jinto's fat, chubby friend, where he was like, oh, you get to be the Wraith. I was like, no, you can be the Wraith. I'm going to be Major Shepard. And I'm like, that was me in grade 5. Mind you, I got a promotion because it was like grade 5 when Power Rangers came out. And there were 3 other guys in my group. So they were the red, blue, and black Power Ranger. I had to be the yellow Power Ranger for the first, 2 months Power Rangers was out. He's like, and then one of the guys was like, "No, you can be the Black Ranger. I'm going to be the Green Ranger."
Yeah.
He's like, you son of a bitch. So maybe that's what it is. When he pulled that whole, I'm Major Shepherd, I was like,
shit.
Tapped that rage in me.
What annoyed me the most is that they're all like, "Hey, Jinto, where are you?" He didn't say shit the first time.
Well, I think he hadn't figured out how to activate the comm panel, I think was the subtext there.
Was there a comm panel?
Well, that's how he activated it later on. When she went citywide, he was playing with... Because remember, there was... well, the insinuation for me is there was that part where he was playing with the controls because that was on the lights go on, lights go off, lights go on, lights go off. And then...
I always thought that was the entity.
No, I thought that was Jinto. And then the dialing of the Stargate was Jinto as well. Well, though I don't know why there'd be a DHD in whatever lab he was in, but that was the insinuation I got.
I know. For me, I always thought it was the black cloud.
Well, how would that dial a Stargate?
I don't know. How did any of them do it?
Anubis is a black cloud, couldn't dial the Stargate. Even he needed a body. So the insinuation for me is that all those little malfunctions, it's a red herring where you think it's the black cloud, but it's actually Jinto stuck in that little room pressing buttons trying to get out. And
so you can dial the Stargate from that room, you think?
Well, the flip side to that is where was the black cloud dialing the Stargate from?
Well, yeah, I just assumed it was within the system, within the brain.
Well, no, because it couldn't do any of that. I didn't think it could get involved in like any of the electronics. It was just like it was a power. It was like a energy vampire.
Yeah.
So it was just sucking power. But
Either way.
For me, the red herring is that you think it's the cloud, but the cloud is literally just a shark swimming around feeding, sucking energy. But the gate dialing, the lights going out was Jinto. And then finally, when Weir goes citywide later on, he figures out the controls and is able to turn back. That's how I've always interpreted the episode.
Yeah, it's a big leap, I just feel. Like, they didn't explain it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think... They didn't even say, why didn't you answer us before, or were you pressing buttons? I mean, I know McKay said, I need to know what you did.
Yeah.
But Jinto released the cloud, right? That's the idea of it. They were playing hide and seek.
No.
I feel like that's what happened.
So they're in the elevator. I think you might be right. I think that device is in... Is that the device there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So f***ing Jinto
released the cloud.
He totally released it.
That's the whole idea of it.
Are you okay?
Yes.
We've got Jinto, he's okay.
Who?
Even the dad's like, oh, I forgot about that guy.
The kid we're trying to find. Oh, you found him. What a shame.
Do you have any idea what this place is?
Remember McKay, he's just getting around like he's fucking Tony Stark.
Yeah, totally.
Central computer system, so Jinto could have caused what we thought were malfunctions from here. Look,
Jinto could have caused what we thought malfunctions were here.
Show me what you touched.
Tell me everything.
So he was doing all of that and released the cloud.
Yeah. Show me on the doll where you touch the city.
Yeah, so Jinto.
So he was everything.
He was everything.
Hide
and seek.
That's just what makes me... It's such a petty thing, but I really don't like that that's why the episode is called Hide and Seek. Like,
oh, it's ridiculous. It should be called Lieutenant Ford bitches out because a black cloud touched him. You remember that? He touched him and he's like, oh! On the radio, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Well, I heard that too, and I'm like, geez, I hope that guy wasn't a main cast member. I hope it was someone else we didn't see.
Yeah, don't get attached.
That scream sound, and it was such a... Like, it actually made me start thinking about as
over
a
the radio
doing like a voice scream, because I'm like, that was such a consistent cry.
Yeah.
It was just, and I'm like, if that thing was like ripping you apart or something, it'd be like a jagged, just, like trying to get away from like a mauling tiger or something. So, yeah.
And Dr. Beckett said, oh, it was like he got electrocuted. I've had an electric shock, 240 volts. This is what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Not screaming, because you can't fucking move.
I was at a friend's
scream.
I was at a friend's house when I was 10, and I was walking along a fence, just running my hand along this wire fence line, going, why is my thumb going numb? It was electric fence keeping in the horses. Can we talk about the uniforms again? I touched on it in Rising a couple of weeks ago. They're still trying to figure things out. Weir is wearing a badge that has the Atlantis logo on it. I feel like it was like a bit of merch that they would have given, like the production would have given away
Like a
to like the
birthday badge.
meteors. No, it's like a
With a
big
pin.
It's like a big metal, like one of these things, like a metal,
Yeah, like a birthday card badge.
yeah,
Yeah.
of the Atlantis logo with like the
Pegasus,
Pegasus
horse
and all that kind of. It's almost like it was a like a production pin that that they would give to like media as like a little goodie bag.
Right.
Set visit. Here you go.
And she's the only one wearing it. So it's like she's like, well, I'm in command. I'm going to wear the badge on my jacket. It only lasts a couple of episodes, but I'm like, what is that thing doing there? That doesn't make any sense. And at one point, I think she even takes her jacket off, and the pin's like on her shirt, and I'm like,
right.
really? So
That's not the only thing that annoyed me about her.
Oh no, I love Weir. She's my favourite.
All right, look, again, because
She's condescending.
I've only seen her in, a couple of episodes of, well, one episode or
Yeah,
whatever.
this would be your fifth episode, your fifth lot
I've
of
ever
40
seen it.
minutes.
Can someone please get rid of the 10,000-year-old dead plants?
That wasn't.
Is that a joke?
Sending.
As
Have
she's
some
walking
respect.
out.
Like, have some
Look,
respect.
She's
You
like,
don't know-
thanks, Taylor, but
Look,
the Thosians can f*** off.
just
Like, we don't need them. They
Look.
stink. They actually stink.
just like an
I'm
emancipation.
such an elitist. Like, okay, I'm not going to lie. I have a real thing for poor people. Like, Taylor, maybe if you'd worked harder,
Oh,
you know.
Look, I'm picking up
Just
a little
get
bit of
a
a
better
theme.
planet. God.
Back in season 1 when Carter was like, I just can't feel like one of the guys around these guys.
Yeah, but I like Carter.
I kind of feel like, yeah, but I'm just like, I feel like Weir is kind of, she's my surrogate in this episode. Have a listen to this. This is totally me in this room with you guys.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
I'm teaching Taylor how football is the cornerstone of Western civilization.
And you didn't invite me?
You like football?
No.
Surprise, surprise.
It's real, it's unpredictable, it's full of
If she had have said
passion.
yes, that could have been a redeeming quality.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, she's a huge nerd.
Yeah,
And no
but I
one
feel like
likes
it's like,
her.
hey, what are you guys talking about? Football?
Obviously, it's on the f***ing TV.
Yeah. And then, well, no, I mean us. I mean, I walk
Oh,
in.
right.
I walk in and I'm like, hey, Mitch, Rhys, and Brandon, what are you guys talking about? Can I join in? And you're like,
Matty,
football. Do you want to join in? And I'm like, no.
just to date this
Hey,
podcast,
sports.
you might not know this, but the NRL started this weekend. So every time we're going to record now, there'll be a replay or a live
Broncos
game
were on Thursday night, weren't they?
Friday.
Friday, of course.
Yeah, Friday.
Can't
Yeah,
wait.
yeah. There's only a couple of those this year. There's probably
Yeah.
about 16 of them or something like that. So.
Yeah, so there's the Mitchell.
Prime
Mitch,
time,
16
baby.
out of 26. And then
gotta
it's
make
a
sure
seven
we don't record on any of those days because Mitch will not be available.
No, I'll just be watching, and I just want to watch the episode that week because I'll have no talking points. I'll just be watching the game. So
Then they'll have a Sunday, so it's an 8-day turnaround. Then they'll have a few Sundays. And then Origin, then they'll do
there's a
Thursdays.
couple of Saturdays in there as well. So.
Go
There's like
home.
a Sunday Origin this year too.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
they've
did
been
that last
playing with
year.
that the last couple of years. There
Game
used to be like
2.
3 weeks per games. Now it's 2.5. They have a Sunday game.
They
and
should
I'm like,
make it a Saturday. I don't know why they do Sunday.
broadcast, mate.
Yeah,
They're
more
going to
money.
take it overseas.
It's all about the money,
because
guys.
apparently Americans are going to pay heaps to not watch it, and yeah, that's all right. It's only our showpiece. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fine.
Mm.
We're still simply the best, but we're
Not really.
just going to give it to someone else. If that's fair. That's fine. Easy.
Hey, fun bit of trivia for you.
Yes.
This is the first episode of the entire Stargate franchise not to feature or mention one Jack O'Neill.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
He is either
Well, I
seen,
assume as much because he's not in this show.
yeah, but it's like he's not been in episodes of SG1, but he's mentioned.
Right.
This, and then he was obviously in the pilot. So this is the first episode where O'Neill, who started it all back in the movie, is not seen or mentioned.
Yeah.
Nice.
First amendment, I would assume, but yeah, like you're right,
Yeah.
the first one. Wow, yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
No, I don't mind that. No.
It's like
Cooper.
that weird thing, like your work does, Mitch, where they go like, "Oh, we're the #1 FM radio station in Brisbane." Like
Yeah, yeah.
or it's like, "Oh, this you now hold the
What else would you listen to?
you
Podcasts.
you hold the
About
Guinness
Stargate.
the Guinness World Record for the first 3-legged person to ever run a race in England." Like it gets
Yeah,
really
yeah,
specific.
Yeah.
That was the kind of bit of trivia I felt this was like. It was like a super specific window.
I love that shit.
Yeah, where it's like you can make anything sound good if you just... It's all about marketing. It's all about marketing, guys. Hey, I think we got ripped off. Apparently, only in the Region 1 DVDs, this whole season has audio commentaries. We didn't get any audio commentaries for Season 1 in the Region 4 for Australia.
Did you find them?
No.
Oh.
Yeah,
that.
I think that, like,
Couldn't be bothered.
especially when they started doing them, like, obviously they've been doing them for a couple of seasons by now on SG1. And any production, TV or movie, I can't believe that there isn't, like, it's not a prerequisite, especially when there were physical media, when that was all you had, that you wouldn't have creators doing a...
Yeah, 2004, that's like prime audio commentary time.
Like, I don't watch or listen to as much of that stuff as I want to or tell myself that I will. Like, I'll go and buy... If there were two options of a particular show or...
Oh, you're going to get a special edition.
Oh, yeah, you buy the one with the most special features so it can sit on your shelf and never get watched.
Absolutely, mate. Those second discs never leave the case.
Pristine.
But I want it there because I'm like, no, I'm a film buff and I love the making of.
You want to watch it?
No, obviously not. I just want to watch. I don't want to watch it with this guy telling me what's on screen. I'll just watch what's on screen. Thanks.
It does come back and bite me in the ass in Season 2, though, because then when we start getting audio commentaries, they include Martin Gero. Ugh.
And I'll say who, and you'll say exactly.
He's my Cooper. He's my Cooper of Atlantis. Wow. And he writes that childhood ends in a couple of weeks.
Oh, and Cooper wrote Fifth
Commandment.
Yeah.
First Commandment.
First Commandment?
First Commandment. Fifth race.
Yeah, Fifth
First
race.
Commandment. Yeah. So he is the Gero. Martin Gero is the Cooper and my Cooper of Atlantis. Because by Season 4 and 5, he's in charge. It's him and Cooper are in charge.
I have a Cooper in the universe.
We can share Gero, mate. There's plenty of hate to go around.
Okay.
Just wait.
Cooper's in the universe too, man. Don't worry.
Okay. If it's shit, he's got his fingerprint on it. Woo!
He's got his finger up it.
Most of the cast is a Cooper in universe.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do like a lot of actors that are in that, so I guess I'll just have to get past the characters.
Lou Diamond Phillips, mate.
Yep. So Jill State. Is it State?
Nah, she's in Atlantis.
She's in Atlantis.
Oh, Atlantis, you're right. So I just know it's further and further on.
Yeah, Season 4 and 5, I think.
Robert Carlyle at the very least, you know.
Oh,
so.
God, yeah.
Do love a little bit of Carlyle.
He's like we were talking about earlier with McKay, how McKay's like a dick with a heart of gold. Robert Carlyle is just a dick.
Just
in
a
the
dick.
universe.
Is he really?
He's got no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
Now, he strikes me just looking at the pictures in the box as the lead. Is he the lead? Or is it like
Yeah.
a co-lead situation?
Oh, yeah. He's
like him and that other bloke?
He's the McKay. Lou Ferrigno. No, not Lou
not
Ferrigno.
Lou
That's the Hulk.
Ferrigno, but yeah, it's something
that
like
guy.
that.
Yeah,
something.
they're
Yeah.
basically the Shepherd and McKay of Atlantis, but they fucking hate each other.
Yeah, and
Everyone on that show hates each other.
Yeah.
And the audience hates them.
Yeah, except
And it only lasted 2 seasons. Who would have thought?
except Ming Na's in it, and I love me some Ming Na.
Oh, mate. Ming Na is great.
Yeah, she ironically, I think she's kind of like the Weir of universe.
She's HR, mate. No one likes HR.
Well, you wouldn't, but
No. Been there a few
HR's
times,
your
you
enemy,
know what I
mate.
mean?
But I can play by the rules.
You know something about Stargate, and especially our international, our US listeners. I'll sometimes say elevator instead of lift. I'll sometimes say Jello instead of jelly.
Yeah.
But I'll never say ZPM. It's f***ing ZPM, guys. Get it right.
No, I'm accepting of both, but I tend to say ZPM.
Were you wrong?
No, it's totally
Sorry about that.
acceptable. They're both acceptable.
I don't know. Honestly, I question. If I do the alphabet with my kids, and it's I'm like X, Y, Z, or Z. I don't know. I don't know because I feel like depending on what show
the
I would
Wiggles
watch-
started saying that.
Have
Z
they?
or Z.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
they're hate 'em.
I mean,
Well, you know what else?
do you like that 70s rock band ZZ Top?
Well, no.
That's ZZ Top.
No, mate.
Your Honour.
That's a name.
Sustained.
It's a name.
Thank you,
Jay-Z.
And a
But the
name
letter
is
is
ZPM. The name of that device is a ZPM,
Hey,
a 0
Power
point
Rangers.
module.
No.
Wasn't Lord Z, was it?
No, it was Lord Zed, but he spelt that
Yeah.
ZEDD.
Yes.
He actually spelt it out.
You're right.
Z.
And
You
here
just
I
said
am.
And
I'm-
ironically,
we're a radio
said it.
station,
He was
and
an American
Why are
creation.
you arguing? It's an English letter. England, they say Z. It ain't Z, mate.
They're both acceptable.
They're not. It's not acceptable.
They are. If you want to go back to like the roots of it, like the core roots of
I'll
like the
root
Greek
you.
and all that kind of stuff, it actually comes from Zeta. So
I'm using Zeta right now.
So
It's a program,
yeah,
radio
great
station.
program.
It's fine. Great program.
yeah. So
Don't know how to use it.
But it's spelt ZETA the same way beta is spelt BETA. So why don't we go A bed C? So why is it's just because
You
you've
lost
been
me.
taught?
You lost me.
Okay, so you say
No, don't start again.
you say ABC, right? You say ABC, and B is acceptable as saying B. The core of B, like the original Greek core of B, was beta, BETA.
Yeah.
The original core of the letter Z was zeta, ZETA. So if beta and zeta their core words are spelt exactly the same, and we say B for one and Z for the other, to me that doesn't make any sense.
Latin, not Greek.
Oh, whatever it is, yeah, the core of it.
The ancient language of Earth.
So like I find myself flipping between like I jump back and forward depending on the word. Like if you told me to spell zebra, I'd probably go ZEBRA. But then other things, I would probably put a Z in there, depending on if it comes later in the
The reason
word or
I said
something
that
like
was because someone on the socials said, I hate it when McKay says Z. It's Z, and everyone just climbed on her.
No,
like,
I think
climbed into it, and I went, yeah, I can't handle that shit, especially pricks that spell colour with the U and use the word golf as a noun instead of a verb. She didn't like it.
Yeah. I think
I'm going to go golfing. It's not a f***ing verb, guys.
You're right.
You don't go hockeying.
golf, gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. Yeah, I think
I know, isn't that just like, how is it still called golf?
Yeah.
When that was the roots, all the fun little way that they used to.
I don't really care. It's just funny to tease people.
Yeah, it is.
Because people listening
people
to me
go hardcore
will be
on
like
it.
arching their backs.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always good to provoke if you do anything, Brendan,
Only
it's
since
provoke
he
a
was 12,
response
ladies
in
and gentlemen.
people.
That's
So,
Predator to a call.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised your middle name isn't provoke. Like,
No. Danger's my middle name.
Yeah. But I mean, I like the way they do touch on it in Rising when O'Neill's like, what did you just say? When McKay
Yeah.
says ZPN,
He's
they're
from
like,
Canada.
he's Canadian.
He's Canadian.
So,
Sorry.
I tend to
sorry.
jump back and forward because there's other little things that I've learned along the way too, like
Z rhymes. I like it that it rhymes because it rhymes with the song. I feel like that's why they changed it.
yeah. I probably just watched too much Sesame Street as a kid, so Z is just ingrained into my brain.
Yeah, plus I always remember the teachers at school going, it's Z, it's not American.
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
then-
okay.
But then there's other things as well,
Whatever you
whereas
say.
it's like when I was working at the hardware store and like in the paint section, we would have to tint up a lot of Colorbond colours. And Colorbond is an American brand name, so it didn't have the U in it. And you had to type it out, COLOR. And every time I would go to type it in to get a formula out of the computer, I would put the U in and it would skip past all the Colorbonds because I was typing it in wrong. So even
Or
things
correctly.
like that. Yeah. So I've just learned to adapt to things. And same as like working in the hardware store as well. Like nuts and bolts are still to this day, they're all still in imperial and metric. Like, so I would have to jump back and forward. People would go, like a guy come in and go, okay, I need a 5/16 3-inch bolt. What's that in metric? And I was like, well, it's not going to work because it's a different thread. But aside from that, it's going to be, an 8 gauge, 75 mil or whatever. So I'm just used to, and my dad's American, so I'm just used to jumping back and forward between all that kind of crap.
Imperial metric. I mean, metric's the way to go, isn't it, guys?
Oh, obviously.
How good is metric?
Goes metric,
So helpful. So helpful.
Like a 5/16 of an inch. Why is
So
that?
annoying.
Why is that a measurement?
Yeah, it's annoying.
Like, honestly, America, wake up to yourselves when it comes to the metric system. Like,
Yeah.
just jump on board.
God, yeah. And say Z.
Like,
Won't hurt. All right, Mitch, you're up for this one.
Oh.
Has Mitch been paying attention?
Jesus Christ. You know
it's
what?
time to find out if Mitch has been paying attention.
Rhys, you'll be happy to know that I just got a shiver down my spine, actually, when they said Mitch.
I haven't got a sound grab because I thought Rhys was going to be here. But anyway.
I was
here
so
we go.
honest. I was watching the episode today, and I'm like, I don't remember that. I'm not going to remember that. There's no way I'm going to remember anything. I'm
No.
tipping. I'll get 0.
So, 5 questions for you, Mitch. 30 seconds on the clock. Are you gay? That was the first question. Time starts after the first question. You don't have to give yourself dings. We'll do that in post.
I won't need any dings, I'll tell you that.
All right, question 1. Iceland is in the North
don't.
Atlantic.
Its capital city
Iceland
is
is
Reykjavik.
in the North Atlantic. Its capital is Reykjavik. What country is Rodney McKay from?
Canada, yeah?
Correct. What is Shepard's favourite sport?
Football.
Correct. What movie series was Shepard telling the kids?
Friday the 13th.
Correct. According to McKay, what was the reason he fainted?
Because he was hungry.
A little bit
thirsty. Nah, pass. Come back to it.
What was Lieutenant Ford's saying from Earth?
I'm useless.
I'll give you that. Very close.
Can I get those ones? Can
got
I?
Very good. Yeah. What was
it
McKay saying?
Manly hunger.
Manly hunger was what he said.
Oh.
He passed out.
And I think Ford's is acceptable, but I think technically, according to the script, it would be stuff happens.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Like Cooper should have shot himself in the face when he thought of that. Stuff happens. You mean shit, Cooper?
Yeah. I don't think those kids would know that was a swear word. Like the dad wouldn't get angry saying
no,
shit.
right? It's just the ratings, guys.
That's it.
Canada is where McKay's from. NFL, football.
I love how
correct.
you went the ya instead of the a. I liked that too.
Yeah.
You
I didn't know what
Canada, ya?
Canada, Canada.
Friday the 13th. Nailed that. I heard you say it earlier.
That was more a question for Rhys, wasn't it?
It
'Cause,
was.
I mean, Mitch is like that's his meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
And if anything, mate, if you're going to tell him a horror icon, you can leave aside Jason and Freddy and just go straight to Michael Myers. Thank you. Halloween's the way to go. God, how good.
Do like me that.
New movies coming out.
Manly hunger, yeah. And for some reason, Ford says, there's a saying on Earth. Stuff happens. Actually, that's not it.
You get the idea.
What is it then? Like you, useless.
You don't even believe yourself, do you, Ford?
And just going back to the Michael Myers thing, I have to admit to you, Mitch.
Go, baby.
I can't tell the difference between Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. Mm-hmm. Like when you brought up Michael Myers, I was about to make a Freddy versus Jason joke, and then I realised that he's not actually in that film.
No. Well, I mean, Freddy. I think you got to know Freddy Krueger because he's crazy. He's burnt and shit. I get what you mean. They both got white masks and they don't say anything and they walk everywhere instead of running.
And they're like,
and don't they both wear like blue jumpsuits as well? They wear the same outfit.
They have the white face mask.
White face mask, and well, for you,
like
I mean,
onesie?
Halloween. He's William Shatner mask.
Yeah,
that's what Michael Myers is.
Yeah, that's right.
They got a William
the
Shatner mask,
William
and
Shatner mask.
They painted it. Yeah,
they turned inside out or something.
Who's William Shatner?
I don't know. He's a famous some show. He's old.
Boston Legal.
Boston Legal.
Did you see that on Twitter the other day?
No.
Someone tagged me, was like, "Oh, at High Fish Matty, do you watch Boston Legal?"
That's funny.
It's like, no, I tapped out at Boston Public.
That's right.
Should have left it.
Was that
That was good. That was
Boston Public was great. You can see like a
spin-off or something.
Yeah,
both
he was
written by David
He was
Kelly.
in the end of that series.
Both written David Kelly. You can see a young Chris Evans playing a high school student.
For little girls.
7 of 9. When she finished Voyager, she did a stint on the OC for 4 episodes and then jumped on Boston.
Like how many is this? Is
Boston
this 3
Public
yet?
for about 3 or 4 seasons. Boston Public is such a good show, and they never made it on DVD. I'm devastated.
I forgot that even existed until this conversation. Obviously, a Boston Legal.
It was Boston Legal, wasn't it? The first one.
No, Boston Legal came second.
So what was the first one?
Boston Public. That was the high school.
That's right.
And that was Chai McBride. He was remember he was the dish pig in Waiting, that Ryan Reynolds movie as well.
I've never seen Waiting.
I'm adding that to our James Bond list then.
Yes, thank you. I would love to watch Waiting. I've wanted to watch it since 2005. I just,
mate.
It's on the
One of
list.
the best.
It's on the list.
One of the
that
best.
is all. Yeah, I watched that not long ago. I just yeah.
So you've never seen the Batwing? Wow.
Well then,
Straight over my head.
Yep.
Yep.
So we've got Galaxy Quest, Serenity, Waiting. Never Back Down. Have you seen Never Back Down?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
no,
yeah.
that was never back up, Mitch.
Sorry. Yeah, different. A lot of shirtless men in that one too, to be fair.
Always back up on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sequel. That's episode 137 of Get Into Geek. We're back.
I thought you said 37.
Yeah, so did I.
Fitty.
Fitty.
Oh, you said 57.
Yeah, you said
Oh, because
Yeah,
you're
Gangster.
street, yo.
Look at me. Just went full gangster.
Wiggity, wiggity,
Only you
wiggity,
can
whack.
see how
Look
I
at me.
looked. Like,
Yeah, he's
So-
wearing suspenders.
Yeah.
so white. So white. Wow. I'm doing a podcast about a sci-fi show from 15 years ago. On a Friday night, we're recording this. Like, we're not too far away
Mate.
from a big hotspot in our city.
It's Saturday morning. We're partying.
Actually, it's Saturday morning. Yeah, woo! And here we are. I'm drinking a Red Bull to keep myself awake.
God,
you
yeah.
know, I don't want to overdo it. You know,
I've got a chopper chop.
don't want to be tired in the morning. It's gonna be a long drive home.
Hey guys, if you didn't like Cooper enough, guess who's on next week? SG1 0 Hour, written by Cooper again.
Oh, mate.
Double up.
Don't,
the way I like
don't
it.
feel the need to stay in both shows, mate.
No, just pick one.
Oh, you guys missing me over there? I got an idea.
Plant bugs.
Plant
Jesus
bugs.
Christ. Really? Okay, look forward to that one. In the meantime, you can check out all of our old podcasts on your favourite podcasting outlet. Just search Get Into Gate, a Stargate podcast. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or drop us a long form mailbag entry at getintogate@gmail.com.
And still a couple of weeks for you to get in the draw for our big Stargate blueprint giveaway on Patreon. So if you jump in our Patreon at any tier, at the end of the month, we're going to give away this big. I think it's
A2,
A1. I think it was A1.
Yeah, A1,
I want to say A1.
It's big.
So yeah, you can jump on and we'll ship it to you anywhere around the world.
Oh, shit. What a throwback. Jeez, I'm glad I get that on the soundboard. All right, what a way to see us off. All right, Mitch_Lewis on Twitter and Instagram. Come talk some shit. I don't care. Matty.
At High Pitch Matty.
And Brandon.
I have to check my phone.
See
Can't remember what I am.
Yeah.
And the rest.
There we go.
Underscore and the rest?
And the rest
underscore.
Oh, I thought it was underscore and the rest.
Search both. If he's not one, he'll be it next week.
Or just search hashtag and the rest, because there's some fun there as well.
Yeah. It's all about me now, obviously.
Get Into Geek.